answering the question, and I thought, my gosh, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we live. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day.
Start.
Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta show. Come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you. Thanks, sir. Thank you for the time.
Welcome in to a Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from our Click Here Digital Studios on this Friday morning, built every day by RMB Builders. Shout out to Rhett and the crew over at rmb-builders.com, on Instagram at RMB Builders as well. Remember, you can get into the show, YouTube, podcast, however you're getting to us. Make sure you're subscribed, following, liking. We appreciate all of the interaction. As we close up this bye week for LSU Bama, we're going to do it with a splash. Will Campbell, number 7, big left tackle for LSU, going to be in studio with us at 8 a.m. this morning. Willie will be through here and talk about the first half of the season. We'll talk to him about this bye week. And, of course, the big matchup on the horizon with Dallas Turner and that Alabama defensive line. We'll talk to Will Campbell coming up here at 8 a.m. this morning. Ben Mintz in his regular 8:30. Mincy just blazing hot right now. You're making money off of Mintz right now if you're following him. You may want to tune back in if you are following his picks. We will get those for you at 8:30 this morning. We're going to give Jake Crane the week off here with the bye. And we do have a text in to Shea Dixon to get his thoughts after last night's enormous news for LSU in recruiting, which we'll get to here shortly as we get going on this Friday. Remember, our phone lines are brought to you by our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Charlie Harvey, Jason Ramazan, the entire crew over at Southern Regional Medical Center bringing you our phone lines each and every day. We appreciate those guys as always, so make sure and give them a follow all over the place. All right, so we've got a big one here last night in recruiting as LSU doing work. Brad Davis, shout out to Davis, of course, the LSU offensive line coach, who in just a very short time has really changed the identity of that entire room. LSU, for really the better part of 10, 12 years, was just habitually swinging and missing on big-name offensive line prospects. Everybody outside of La'el Collins, Trey Turner, were really just guys that LSU, at least locally, guys like Ethan Posick from outside the area was a big get for sure, but consistently they just could not put together offensive line classes. And it was something that haunted LSU in an age where they were bringing in as many skill athletes as any program in the country, probably more. And now the identity has shifted over the last 3 recruiting cycles to that of what has really been labeled and felt like the best offensive line in the SEC going into this matchup next weekend. Tigers make a huge, and when I say an enormous splash last night as they flip 5-star offensive tackle Weston Davis from Texas A&M to LSU. And Davis told Hayes Fawcett of On 3 last night, I see that LSU has the best offensive line in the SEC right now. So not only is Davis, and it's what we talked about earlier this week, not only is Davis and with these coaches, he's proving on the field that he is developing guys. He's also being able to win in the living room, and that is a coach in a modern day of college football that you got to have on staff. You got to have those guys, and Brad Davis just doing incredible work right now, stacking up this offensive line as they flip Weston Davis last night from Texas A&M to LSU. Obviously, this is an enormous get for the offensive line. LSU and Davis have been flirting with each other for a while, but this guy is 6'5", 280 pounds. He is a guy that has arms measured over 35 inches. He was a basketball player first, coming up, and then taking up to high school football and has just shined. He is pretty physical in the run game. He looks like a ballerina out there when he's pass blocking at 6'5". He is a monster of a get for LSU. He's out of Beaumont, Texas, and that is where LSU made the flip. And look, LSU's been trending on a couple of Texas A&M commits, and that's why we want to make sure and see if we can't track down Shea here on this Friday to make sure we are able to get his thoughts after the big get. But look, this is an offensive line class that already includes a 4-star offensive tackle in Ethan Callaway, already includes another offensive tackle, 3-star, Ori Williams. Then you've got Kyron Lee, who is the interior offensive lineman out of John Ehret. And then Natchitoches Central interior offensive lineman Joseph Cryer is in this offensive line class. And now you add a 5-star in Weston Davis to the group, which is just enormous. And you see, not only do you get a big guy in your class, do you get a big get in your class, you make one of your competitors weaker, right? I mean, this was one of the headlines of A&M's class was Weston Davis. But as he told On 3, look, man, the production on the field is just too good, right? You look at a guy like Campbell. You look at a guy like Emory Jones. You look at some of these guys that have been in the program now, Miles Frazier for a couple of years under Brad Davis, and how much improved and how much better they get week in, week out. I mean, all that stuff goes into Davis and what's going on the field. Will Campbell's going to be here at 8 a.m. We'll ask him about it. Just what it's like playing for Davis, the development of it, all of what goes into being right now what is considered. And I agree with Weston Davis. I think LSU's offensive line is playing as good as anybody in the league. And really right now, if you look at Jaden Daniels' numbers, if you look at the run game, if you look at what they're able to accomplish in protecting Daniels, it is, that's not by accident. That offensive line deserves a ton of credit. So,
well, and it feels more like Superman can bleed a little bit with the recruiting trail where, okay, maybe you can flip some guys from Texas A&M. That's the bigger. I mean, obviously you love to get a 5-star offensive lineman, but this could be a situation in which, okay, you see how the A&M season is playing out. You see that their head coach may be on the fritz. This is when you start pilfering talent. You talk about all those guys that are from A&M that are committed, that are now maybe on flip watch for LSU. This is the way that you could fix your recruiting room real quick. And it's because, I mean, A&M, they're just not seeing the success on the field. You can promise me anything you want in terms of NIL and all of those things that A&M has been doing to recruit. But if your whole situation is in flux where you don't know if your head coach is coming back, you don't know who's going to be on staff next year, it's kind of an impossible recruiting battle to win.
If they lose to South Carolina on Saturday, which is a possibility just in the ways and the history that Jimbo has proven that his teams could come in unprepared in a game versus a team that may not really get the move and move the meter. But both of these programs are desperate right now. South Carolina trying to avoid losing a third straight. Texas A&M coming off of a 5-win season last year. If A&M loses Saturday to South Carolina, I really believe that Fisher could lose his job. I mean, I believe that people will be so fed up in just having a couple of connections and just knowing some people over in College Station. I mean, it is boiling over there. And South Carolina's coming in very desperate. A&M could be coming in with that same ho-hum vanilla attitude that you look up each Saturday and they're either down, fighting for their life. This could be bad for A&M. And as LSU seems to be one of the great beneficiaries of A&M's struggles after picking up Weston Davis last night. Obviously, Dre'Yon Miller decommitted from A&M after his visit to LSU. Many believe that LSU is trending in the right direction there. Terry Bussey is another guy, an athlete that has been flirting with LSU, has really not let his relationships down with LSU. So I mean, it is. I think that LSU sitting in a very good position to possibly pounce on some of these A&M recruits. Hey, don't forget about Gabe Relaford, who is top of LSU's defensive line board right now, who is also an A&M commit. So LSU really sitting in a good spot to maybe start picking up some more of these guys after last night flipping one of the biggest fish out there. I mean, it's losing a 5-star offensive tackle. This would be similar to LSU losing Lance Hurd last year out of the class, Emory Jones or Will Campbell 2 years ago. I mean, you think about what those guys, what those recruits meant, what those players mean to the program. Campbell's wearing number 7. Emory Jones, SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week 2 weeks ago, and you plug and play Lance Hurd as a true freshman and don't skip a beat. So, I mean, it is tough to ignore what Brad Davis has done in a very short amount of time alongside Brian Kelly with the vision that they have for this offensive line. I mean, it's amazing to see the turnaround, just knowing where they've come from. If you followed, recruiting, if you've been up on LSU football for, 12, 15 years, when Les Miles is the head coach, he's an offensive line guy. I mean, he played offensive line at Michigan. He coached that was his position group when he was an individual coach. I mean, and so you thought for sure you'd be able to land offensive linemen under that direction. They just never could. They could never consistently close on big-time prospects year in, year out. This leadership of Brian Kelly, Brad Davis, Mike Denbrock, Frank Wilson, the offensive staff, running these recruitments for the offensive line. I mean, it's totally different and changed at LSU now. They're deep. They're athletic. They're mean. I mean, they have just all of what goes into making line of scrimmage play dominant. So, man, you think about next year, some of the high-end talent you're going to have on campus at offensive line. I mean, Campbell and Jones potentially could be 2 top 15 picks at their position. Lance Hurd's going to be in year 2. Ethan Callaway's coming in as a big offensive tackle out of North Carolina. And then you've got another 5-star in West. You'll have 4 5-star offensive tackles on the same roster. Now, you won't have them for long with Jones and Campbell moving on to the league. But next season, you've got Will Campbell, who's probably going to be recognized as the best offensive tackle in the country next year. I mean, he'll start to really get his bouquets. I mean, he'll start to get his attention wearing number 7 at LSU, SEC media days. I'm sure he'll be all over the place. I mean, everybody in America will know who Will Campbell is next year at this time, if they don't already. But, I mean, you've probably got to be a real, football junkie to know who Campbell is now.
Right. He'll get Go ahead, sorry.
The 3,000 level football fan knows who Will Campbell is, right? But, I mean, if you're a fringe watcher, you know who Jane Daniels is, right? I mean, you don't have to really have a lot of interest in college football to know that, oh, yeah, I've heard that guy Jaden Daniels' name. Next year at this time, I'd imagine that Will Campbell will be that type of player for LSU just because of, I mean, you don't see this. You don't see the consistent play that he's just come in and been able to slide in as a freshman, take over a left tackle spot, and hold that down. And it's a huge story when he gets a penalty. That's what everybody, talks about when you're breaking down Campbell's play, because you really just can't find anything it's nearly flawless every week. I mean, he's as good a run blocker as they have. He's as good of a pass protector as he has. They put him, they try and isolate their best pass rusher sometimes, and you can see like midway through the second quarter, they're like, forget this. I mean,
switching sides.
Yeah, right. Like, this ain't gonna work. Blow it up.
I mean, the most coverage he's gotten this year in terms of, I guess, negativity is he didn't know that you couldn't block people all the way to the sidelines and through the sidelines.
Right,
like that's, but I think he'll get like the national recognition in terms of who, like, people will start maybe talking about the LSU offensive line a little bit more. It's gonna be next year whenever draft eligible. They'll be like, oh, Mel Kiper's big board has Will Campbell. That's when it'll happen.
Absolutely.
Because you don't really talk about offensive line very much in college football, whether it's probably more in game than it is anything else. It's like, oh, Will Campbell, whenever he makes some sort of, no pressures or what have you.
It's like J.C. Latham on Bama's offensive line.
Right.
Like, they're not any good, but I know his name because they've been talking about him for a year and a half and how he's going to be the number one offensive line coming off the board, right? I mean, Campbell's going to be that guy, except he's going to be playing on the best offensive line in the country next season. I mean, LSU's the best offensive line in the SEC. Weston Davis said so. That's why he flipped. I'm sure more than reasons than that, but I mean, that was one of the first things that came out of his mouth.
Well, and look at the continuity that you'll have on offense. I know you'll be losing Jaden Daniels. I know you'll be losing probably Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. But what you see with Garrett Nussmeier, even in spurts, says, okay, I can work with that.
Sure.
And then you look even more forward if you're the 5-star you just got. It's like, oh, Bryce Underwood might be coming here. Like, that makes my job a whole lot easier if he's everything he's cracked up to be, because Michigan is in shambles.
Well, think about the recruiting pitch that you have now to Bryce Underwood. I saw last night, I was in New Orleans for dinner and saw that Brian Kelly was in Metairie watching Harlan Berry play, the number one running back in the country next year, who feels like an LSU lock. I was talking to somebody because I was sitting next to someone who was, I was just kind of scrolling through social media and saw that Kelly was standing on the sideline of Harlan Berry's game. And the guy said, he was kind of around the school. He knew Berry's family. And, I mean, they're all LSU, it feels like. So you've got the number one running back in the country in Harlan Berry, who is at some point feels like he's going to commit to LSU. DK Moore, who is – if he's not the number one wide receiver in the country, I mean, my goodness, what he's doing in Texas football as a junior, he feels like, one of the best players in the country right now. He's still got a year left of high school football. So, I mean, it'll be tough for me to believe that there's going to be, two better receivers than him in the country next year. So you've got the number one wide receiver. You've got the number one running back. You've got a 5-star offensive tackle committed to the class. This class. I expect Keelan Moses to commit, which is this class's addition of Harold Perkins. I mean, if you're Bryce Underwood, buddy, what else you want? Meanwhile, Michigan is caught up in just this this scandal that just won't stop. I mean, it's every day something new's coming out. New coaches, Venmo, computers. I mean, like, this is a mess. It's a mess. So, I mean, easy pitch, right? To Underwood?
Because it feels like, if this is the case, it feels like that's another situation where you might be going to a school where there's no head coach. It doesn't feel like Harbaugh is going to survive this. And I don't know how long the actual proceedings will play out with the NCAA. You never know those things. But it feels like the fire is going to be too hot just around Michigan to where if they kind of want to save themselves, you say, look, we got rid of the coach he said he wasn't involved, but who else would have been orchestrating it? So he's gone. Fresh start at Michigan, and it helps, I guess, avoid some penalties from the NCAA. But that's what kills you in recruiting. If you're Bryce Underwood's like, well, the guy that's been recruiting me this whole time's gone. Yeah. And I've seemed to have there's continuity with what's going on at LSU, especially on the offensive side.
Well, absolutely, and especially at the skill set spot on the offensive side. And Spectrum WellCare, so is recruiting back on track. Recruiting has never been off track in certain positions. Right? But when you evaluate the staff, it's a lot what we talked about this week, right? Recruiting comes down to a couple of things, right? Like you've either got to be able to create the relationship on the road, build the relationship, and just like take it through the finish line, or you need to be someone that you can recruit back to, right? Like you can go out into the living room, send somebody into the living room and say, hey, let me get you back on campus and you can meet Mike Denbrock, right? Like Denbrock is he's more of a facility recruiter, right? Like at the facility. Frank Wilson, Cortez Hankton, Brad Davis, Joe Sloan, those guys are in-home winners. Like you send them into the home so they can wow you, so they can, like give you all of the sales pitch. But they can also bring you back to the facility and recruit you there as well. And then you get on the field and all of those guys' position groups are developing. The offensive line, Brad Davis. The wide receiver group, Cortez Hankton. The quarterback, Joe Sloan. The running back, Frank Wilson. Right? Like all those position groups are thriving. And they're being recruited well. Caden Durham, DK Moore, Weston Davis, Bryce Underwood. I mean, there's a lot of attention being paid to those positions. But then you flip the side of the ball and you look at defensive back. And defensive back, you're losing recruits. Guys are decommitting because other recruiters, Kirby Smart, if you look at our guy from Nashville, who just decommitted and went from LSU to Georgia. Is it Omar Evans?
Yes.
First thing he said was the development. He's regurgitating that from Kirby Smart. So LSU, while they're winning and dominating in areas that they've routinely done, wide receiver, running back, some new areas of late, like quarterback and offensive line, you don't have to look too far. It's who's the communicator? Who's the person? Who's the one that's doing the coaching? Who's the one that's leading the recruiting? It's those individual groups. It's from the wide receiver. If they're getting wide receivers, that's Cortez Hankton that's leading that charge. If they're going after quarterbacks, that's Joe Sloan that's the lead recruiter on Bryce Underwood. Brad Davis is doing the work on all these offensive line that are committing and decommitting from other schools and flipping to LSU. Same goes for Frank Wilson, but Wilson's, he's a little bit more of a higher level guy where you can put him into the room with a defensive lineman. I mean, he's leading the recruitment on Gabe Relaford. But you've got to find those guys that can either be recruited to or recruit from the home into the facility. And LSU's got some dominant guys right now at certain spots. Davis, Hankton, Wilson, Sloan. And I think the conversation is really heating up of fully getting a staff that has that pedigree. And, don't overthink it, man. I would go right after Corey Raymond again. If that was a possibility, if that was even on the table, like those types of the moves that LSU is desperate for now. And when you're recruiting at a level that they are in different positions, wide receiver, offensive line, quarterback, running back, you've got to get that side of the ball fixed where you can balance out those rooms, and that is where they're missing right now. That's where, I mean, you look at what they're doing from a recruiting standpoint. I mean, how can you not celebrate what's going on? 5 stars are flipping from your competitors, teams in the SEC West. But you still got to get that back into the defense shored up to make sure that you can get the guys out of recruiting, bring them onto the campus, develop them on the field, get them drafted within 3. I mean, like, look at Brad Davis's – look at his pitch. He's just pitching Will Campbell. He's just pitching Emory Jones. He's just pitching Lance Hurd. He's just pitching these guys that are right in front of your face. I mean, Campbell's the model. You come in, you have a chance to start. If you're good enough, you'll play early. 3 years later, you're a top 10 pick. Got a chance to wear number 7 at the school. So, we'll see, man. They're dominant right now. Dominating right now.
Right, like the people that are saying if you're being negative on the show, this is just answering a question.
What's negative?
Say you're focusing on the negative of LSU not being able to recruit. It's like, no, there's just a potential weakness because they're recruiting at such a high level everywhere else.
I mean, it's about finding the balance. Like they're dominant in recruiting in some areas. They've got to catch up in others. I mean, it's just the facts. It's not negative. I mean, it's just what it is. You know, I mean, that's just where it is. I mean,
and it's not like you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. You can be better at some spots than others, but Louisiana is at a point where, and the way that you've crept into Texas and be able to go into Duncanville and get some of those guys, that's where you're seeing, okay, LSU is, while they wanted to be more of a national, you're going back to your roots a little bit of recruiting Louisiana, sneaking into Texas. That's the way it's been built for as long as I was alive.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's and look, it's not like you have to be
number one at every spot.
Absolutely. You don't have to be flipping 5 stars at every spot. It's awesome. It's great for recruiting. It's great for the momentum. It's great for the class. It's great for shows like this. I mean, it's awesome to have those types of stories. What you just have to get, what LSU was so great at, in my opinion, in the prime of the roster building, and this is all Frank Wilson, so I think they get back to it here pretty soon, is that, yeah, they're going to get the 5-star guys just by that, like the attention that they're going to get on the field when they're playing. But what made them was the guys that they were getting that were 3, high-level 2 stars, 3 stars, low-level 4 stars that they were bringing in that were being developed, that were, going on to succeed in the NFL, that were staying for 3, 4, 5 years, some of them. I think, James Wright was always the example that everybody used. And he was somebody that, went on to play, I believe, 8 years in the NFL. And while he was here, he was a guy that, had some offers around the SEC, but when he got here, he was developed. He was a special teams warrior for you. He was somebody that provided good depth on a, loaded offense that had wide receivers everywhere that you may not have needed him in particular situations, but he was always there if you ever had to have him. I mean, those were the type of players that I thought made the program. Duke Riley, right? Like, doesn't take, it takes him 3 years to really become a player at LSU, but once you get him, you see how much he means on the field, but once you talk to his teammates, how much he means off the field to those guys. Right? I mean, I believe Frank Wilson told the recruiting story of Duke Riley on this show, where he was pledged to Kentucky, and, Wilson got on the phone, and Bradley Dale Pivito was in the living room with Duke Riley and his family. And the families, had listened to Pivito, and Pivito got to put it in their head, like, don't go to LSU. You're going to go to LSU and sit for 4 years. Nobody's going to play you. You can come to Kentucky and be a superstar. Frank Wilson gets on the phone, puts it on speakerphone, has everybody sitting in there, goes Frank Wilson on him. Next thing you know, you got a leader of the defense, a guy that's still playing in the league. I think he's still on Miami's roster. I mean, those were the guys that made, and still there, but I think getting back to that type of finding those guys, evaluating those guys, not just star chasing. You don't have to star chase in recruiting. You can find guys out there that can help, that That's what to me was different about LSU and recruiting Louisiana is that you've got all these guys everywhere. I mean, what is Bernard Causey, a 3-star, 4-star in some services? I believe I've seen like he's kind of like routinely recognized as like a 3-star guy, right? Like watch Bernard Causey when he gets to LSU. Like forget the stars. He's going to be a must-play guy in 2.5 years, 3 years. Probably next year just because of the lack of talent that they have right now. But, I mean, they've got to get somebody in there to start stacking it. But those are the players that you gotta hit, you gotta find, you gotta be able to evaluate. Like the DJ Chesters and the Tyree Adams and those guys that they have on offensive line. And I know DJ Chester's a high-end player, but I mean, think of the offensive line depth you now have with, what do you think about LSU's offensive line? Well, it's Campbell, Jones, Hurd. Now you're talking about another 5-star in Weston Davis, who just flipped from A&M. So those are going to be the guys that you headline, but then you're going to turn them on and be like, damn. Who's Adams? Who's Chester? Who's Mubanga? I mean, like they got like crazy depth, kind of like the offensive. I mean, the wide receiver room, the running back room. So, look, man, recruiting's on fire. They need corners. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you each and every day by Katie's Restaurant, online at Katie's, katie'sinmidcity.com. katie'sinmidcity.com is where you can find them. Remember, Katie's in Mid-City has been feeding New Orleans since 1984. Some of the New Orleans favorites that you can find on the menu. You've got the New Orleans-style favorites, the ice-cold beer, the St. Louis-style pizza, all that you can find there right over at Katie's. Get in touch with them. katie'sinmidcity.com, katie'sinmidcity.com. All right, we're going to talk to Brooke Kirchhofer coming up here at 7:45 as she is healthy, back on track. We'll talk to her about the New Orleans Saints, what's going on down there as they've been on the kind of this mini bye. They've had the 10-day break after last Thursday's game versus Jacksonville, in which they dropped to the Jaguars, and things have not been good for New Orleans as far as what's going on with them. It seems like both internally and kind of the chatter about them on the outside. So we'll talk to Brooke coming up here at 7:45. At 8 a.m. this morning, Will Campbell is going to be in studio with us. Big Willie, LSU leader, number 7, obviously one of the headline guys of this team. We'll talk to him about what it's like playing for Coach Brad Davis, how the identity of that offensive line has changed, what's been going on this bye week, and then, of course, the big matchup here a week from Saturday night as Campbell and the crew will be traveling over to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama and the Crimson Tide. Tide favored by 4 right now in the services that I've seen. I think it started at 4.5. So they're telling you that the home field advantage has the built-in 3 points. So about a point and a half favorite is what they're calling Alabama. I think this game moves more close to probably kicks off at Bama -2, 2.5, somewhere around there. A neutral field type pick'em situation.
I would think 3.5. Because you're going to get some LSU action late.
I think the LSU action
they can't help
pour
themselves.
In. You can't. This
be
offense,
included.
The offense.
Yeah, and that's what it'll be interesting. What's the over/under? Do you know?
I have not. I do not know the number. I haven't seen one, but I'm sure we can find one real quick. It just feels like, I don't know, man. The LSU offense to me feels better than the Alabama defense. I think they're both fantastic, and they're both recognized as, each of them being some of the best at what they do. I think the LSU offense, for just what I've seen, and I watched, I've tried to watch it, Bama just, about every week. Their defense is solid and getting a lot better. LSU's offense is consistently great. And I don't care who they play. It's not about the opponent with LSU's offense to me. I think, and look, this will be a great test for this theory. but I believe that this thing travels and it plays wherever they get off the bus, whether it's at Tiger Stadium, Bryant-Denny, the Big House. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think that this offense is too talented to defend. There may be some answers for a guy or two. You can hold Brian Thomas to 2 catches for 7 yards. Kyron Lacey's about to eat you up and go for over 100. That's to me what's the best part about it. You think you've got the run game stopped and bottled up with shutting down Logan Diggs. Jaden Daniels will hang 120 on you. There's an answer for everything. There's too many options for the other team to guard. I love college football. I think college football is an incredible product. It doesn't matter what they do to the rules. I'm going to be there every Saturday. So I've watched enough college football to recognize that there's not a team in the country with 2 to 3 defenders that can match up with LSU. By the time you get past their top cornerback, by the time you get past their second top corner guy, that falls off of a cliff. When you get past Kool-Aid McKinstry, when you get to Alabama's second corner guy and you're looking at Caleb Downs, who's a true freshman safety that you're talking to me about, is a player. Yeah, he is a player. He can't run. He can't guard the interior wide receiver at LSU. He may be able to in 2 years, but he can't now. And that's what the difference in my opinion of what this LSU offense is better at than what the Alabama defense is. It's going to be a clash. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a heavyweight brawl for sure. And I don't expect anything less. I mean, I think it's a fourth quarter game that both teams have real opportunity to win within the last 5 minutes. I just believe that LSU's offense is better than Alabama's defense. Right? I mean, like, they're both fantastic. I just think LSU is good on good. They're better. I mean, think about if Chris Hilton makes that catch against Ole Miss. What we're talking about. Right? I mean, and this is nothing on Hilton. I know it's a bang-bang play and that thing happens, and it's not as if it was an egregious drop, but, I mean, he could have caught it. Think if he makes that play. Like, I mean, Daniels is clearing away the number 1 prospect for the Heisman Trophy. LSU's offense is being talked about as if it's 2019. And that's all it really is. I mean, to me, that's because I tell people, what do you think about LSU's offense? It's the best. To me, it's you can't argue it. There's no debate to it. Well, why? Because it's always there when you need it. What happened against Ole Miss at the end? The ball went off the guy's hands. What do you want? I mean, it was there. And I think you run that play 10 times. And look, Hilton's he's had some drops before, but I still think you give him that play 10 times, he makes it 6.5. So next Saturday night can't get here fast enough. Have you seen the lunar eclipse at the door just changed right now? I believe Will Campbell is here.
It's perfect for Halloween.
It is. I think Big Willie is here.
Quiet feet.
That is. We'll be right back with the starting left tackle of the Tigers and talk to him a little bit about what's happening here in the bye week and getting ready for next Saturday night in Bryant-Denny. Come back with us. Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
A real passion of mine is ACL injuries, but not just really in the treatment of ACL injuries, but how do we keep them from happening? So right here at Auctioner, we're doing some research studies on ACL injury prevention. We're working with some of our high schools, and we're testing different functional tests for athletes. And we're trying to identify people that are at risk for ACL tears. We're trying to catch them before those ACLs happen. And then we want to intervene with some injury prevention programs. And that's something that, being part of Auctioner Andrews Institute, and we can continue on that research. We can expand the impact of that research. We can bring that to more athletes in our community.
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on. Did you do it? Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me? Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection.
A beautiful roof every single time.
Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show is always built by our friends over at RMB Builders and brought to you daily by Go Roof. Check them out online at geauxroof.com. Roof's up with our friends over at Go Roof. A beautiful roof every single time. 225-927-8300. Call them today. Residential, commercial, or just roof repairs. Go Roof can take care of you. Speaking of NIL deals, my guy next here, Will Campbell, representing John Deere Tractors. Of course, number 7 in your programs, number 66 on the field, and number 1 in your hearts, the big left tackle is Will Campbell. It's good to see you, big fella. How are you?
I'm good. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely, man. I asked you this coming into the show. You, in my opinion, play on the best offense in the country. And the reason why I believe it's the best offense in the country, because it's never let you down. It's been there every single time, running, throwing, quarterback runs. All of it seems to be working. How good is it to be a part of this offense? In your opinion, what makes it so good?
I feel like the thing that makes us so good is, everybody does 1/11 of their job. That's what they preach to us, every day before practice, every day before the game is, you do your job and we'll be fine. And, this offense is gifted, and, the scary thing is we still leave a lot on the bone on Saturdays sometimes, and we do some great things, and but that's the thing that we go in and talk about on Mondays is just like, if we'd have done this right, that's another touchdown. If we'd have done this right, that's another touchdown. It's just we hadn't even reached our potential yet, and I think that's what's scary. So we just got to keep going.
How good is the quarterback?
He's the best. Give him the Heisman.
What is it about him? I mean, because it seems like I thought he broke his rib at Missouri. I thought he was hurt. I mean, and then he comes back into that game and does what he does there. And then the next week he looks like it doesn't even faze him. I mean, his toughness is undervalued to me. I think his skill set speaks for itself. In your opinion, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand how tough he is. I mean, when he gets hit, when he runs and he just pops back up, sometimes we all talk about an O-line room because, one thing about Jaden that I've tried to talk to him about is tightening his chin strap because he doesn't tighten it. So every time he gets hit, it looks like his helmet's all messed up, and they're like, "Oh God, he just got rocked." And you run over there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm good," fixes it, and he pops up. But I mean, he's special, man. I mean, he is one of the most gifted athletes I've ever seen, and nothing phases him. I've told people this since I've met him. Nothing phases him. People trying to get in his head doesn't faze him. Somebody come up on the field to him and try to talk crap to him. He's just going to laugh in your face and just go line up again and go throw a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing about him. Nothing phases him. And just like last year on that last drive in Tiger Stadium against Bama, I mean, you would have thought that was the opening drive of the game. I mean, it's just another drive to him, and he's special.
This offensive line, to me, Big Willie, has been the difference here early on of the Brian Kelly era. You guys, that's what feels different around LSU football is your group. What is it about you guys? Obviously, you're the headliner there, but tell me about this unit and that room and Coach Davis.
There's a bunch of good guys in that room. Even the guys that aren't playing, they help us get ready each week. And, the thing is we go to work every day like it's our last day almost. It's, Coach Davis pushes us so hard. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but, it's part of it. We know that he has our best interest and we have his, and, he's going to get us ready to go out there every Saturday and put on the best show that we can and be ready for everything that anybody throws at us. And, that's been the biggest thing for us is, we'll be in a meeting and talking about a game and he'll be like, this team has showed this blitz one time, but we'll go over it and study it and we'll know it. And, defenses have been throwing everything they have at us. And, that blitz that they've showed one time the year before, that shows up 8 times that night.
Wow.
So it's just things like that he prepares us for. And, we have so many guys in that room that know football. I mean, Charles Turner is probably one of the best communicators that we have on our entire team, regardless of the position. I mean, he commands us, and, he's going to tell us where we need to be, and he's like, go here. And and then Emery, and, he speaks for himself. Y'all know what he can do. And, Garrett and Miles are great football players, and just like Charles, I mean, they're smart, and that's the biggest thing. It's everybody has to be on the same page, and I feel like that's where, we have moved in the best direction is everybody being on the same page and 5 guys playing together as one.
Yeah. You and Emery have this close bond that I think people have learned about. I don't know if people know the depth of it. Can you explain the relationship that you have with 50?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's my brother. I mean, we live together, and, we really do everything together. I mean, coming here, we had known everybody in the recruiting class, but, me and Walker were kind of the guys that really hung out the most, and because we had hung out in high school and stuff like that. But as soon as me and Walker moved down here and early enrolled, Emery didn't get to, but, he was staying with me and Walker in the dorm every weekend, just hanging out, just coming over and, chilling. And we really did everything together. I mean, go get ice cream, of course, and, things like that. But I mean, yeah, that's someone that, long after LSU's gone, that I'll still, be in contact with daily. And, I'll do anything for him, and I know he'd do anything for me.
How's he feeling?
He's good. He's going to be ready to go, and he's excited.
Absolutely. What is it about this game, Willie? I mean, is this one different for everybody?
No, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of buzz around it and stuff like that, but you got to kind of just approach it like another game. I mean, because, you can't look at it bigger than it is, because then it just adds more, pressure and all this stuff. And we just got to approach it like any other game and, do what we do. And I think we'll be fine if, we just come and do what we do.
How do you feel? How's your health?
I feel good. I'm ready to go.
You know, the biggest story.
That was a question.
The biggest story of you this year is that, like, you got a penalty. Like, that freaked everybody out. You know, I mean, like, that was like a big story for you. I don't think people almost kind of like.
You're telling me.
What was that like? Tell me about that. What was that like? Did you hear from it on social media?
I mean, you know, the Missouri one wasn't that big of a deal. But I mean, I'm trying to think, when was it? I think it was the Mississippi State game.
Right, that was the one. Yeah.
Golly, I mean, you would have thought, like, I gave up 12 sacks. And Coach Davis told me, we were sitting there on the sideline, and I think I had just gotten my third penalty. And, you know, 2 of the penalties were on the whole O-line.
Right.
And I had just gotten
66.
Yeah, people forget that. Yeah.
I had just gotten my third penalty, and it was for ripping that dude's helmet off, which it is what it is. But
and we're playing football out here.
He told me, he said, they're going to be on you on Twitter, I'm telling you. And I didn't think about it. And, you know, I get back to my phone in the locker room, and I'm at it. I'm just like, oh, my gosh. Just because I ripped his helmet off doesn't mean I played bad. But
it's what you want to see from the O-line.
No, I mean, yeah, I look back at it now, and I'm just like, golly, what was I doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even know. Because the play before, I had knocked the dude over the referee, pancaked him, all that stuff. And then he tried to stick his hands in my face. And, you know, I told the coach,
Not
I said,
today,
he tried to do it. I told the coach, I said, he tried to do it to me. My chin strap was just tighter.
Jane, you listening? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was what it was. And then, you know, the Missouri one, you know, I was just blocking to the whistle.
That's it.
Watch The Blind Side one too many times.
Offensive lineman coaches around the country are showing that
That's
film
teaching
everywhere.
tape.
That's teaching tape for sure. When did you find out you were going to be number 7?
The same day y'all did, probably 15 minutes before y'all did. He just, at the end of the practice, he, you know, brought it upon everybody to me and Makai, and, you know, he announced it in front of the team. And, you know, I was just as shocked as everybody else, honestly. So, you know, it's a blessing because, you know, growing up watching LSU, and, you know, I talked to Leonard a couple weeks ago, and, you know, he started laughing when I told him this. I was with him and Coach Frank, and they're right outside of my room at my parents' house. There's a picture of me doing the Heisman photo. But let me backtrack. You know, you go to school in elementary school and you have picture day, and, you know, your mom usually makes you wear like a little, you know, nice little collared shirt, some pants, so, you know, she can put it at her desk or something like that. I was in khaki shorts and an LSU number 7 jersey doing the Heisman pose. And
Picture day?
And it's right outside of my door. And I told him that, and he just started laughing. But, I mean, it's special because, you know, growing up, like I said, here, you know, watching guys like Leonard Fournette, you know, Tyrann Mathieu, those were my favorite players growing up. And, you know, being able to connect with them now and, you know, try to hold on the tradition, it's special for me.
What is your relationship like with? I thought it was fascinating last year when, like, Andrew Whitworth, Todd McClure, Kevin Mawai all kind of recognized what you and Emory were doing, starting as true freshmen, kind of like plug and play guys out of high school. And I mean, you're talking about Whitworth, a Super Bowl, you know, McClure, Atlanta Falcons Hall of Famer, and obviously Kevin Mawai, a Hall of Famer, talking about, like, that's just like freaked them out how crazy it was. What's your relationship like with them, and how much do you resource guys like that in the program?
You know, with those guys specifically, you know, Mr. Todd, he's came and actually talked to the offensive line before. I think it was before a spring practice. You know, he came and talked to us as an O-line, and, you know, Andrew, you know, me and him are from the same area, so we know people that, you know each other, and me and him know each other, but, you know, I wouldn't say that me and him have went to Chimes and, you know, had lunch or anything, but, you know, the biggest thing from him was last year is whenever he was the honorary captain against the Alabama game, and, you know, me and Emory are the true freshmen, 18-year-olds standing right there and, like, about to go at it for 4 quarters. He came up to me, and he hugged me and he said, "Just do what you do," and patted me on my back, and I was like, whew. Yeah, so that was the biggest, encounter I've had with him. But I've watched him, since I started playing O-line, and the 318, he is the guy. Anybody talks about 318 football, he is the top of the conversation. So, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of the 318. When you were coming up, everybody, they got to get Will Campbell. Will Campbell's going to be a 3-year left tackle. He's off to the NFL top 10 pick. And then Lance Hurd is on the same offensive line. And then in his recruitment, people are telling stories where he's telling you tell Will Campbell I'm coming for his job. And people are like, chill out, young fella. You know what I mean? Calm down a little bit. What's your relationship like with Hurd? You guys played on the same line of scrimmage at Neville, and now you're in the same locker room as youngsters at LSU. We love his mentality. What's he like with you?
Yeah, I think a lot of people took that interview wrong. And, Lance is just a competitive human, just like the rest of us.
Right.
We go at it about rock, paper, scissors. It's just a part of it. And, yeah, you want the competitiveness. But, everybody at LSU and me knew that, you're going to play wherever we need you, wherever it is needed. And if that means me moving to get us the best 5 on the field and the best chance of winning, then that's just what we're going to have to do. It's just part of it. But, actually tonight we're going to watch our old high school play and watch my brother play. And all we're talking about is because, it's not the same here. Is Johnny's Pizza.
Oh, here we go, bro.
And the Johnny's Pizza in Baton Rouge is not like the one back home. And me and Lance have talked about it. We've already discussed we're getting 4 14-inch pizzas.
Sweep the floor?
Sweep the kitchen.
Sweep the kitchen.
Hog heaven, pepperoni and bacon, and whatever else Lance wants. And then we're getting 2 desserts. And he said, we are about to sit there and the Thanksgiving before Thanksgiving. And I'm telling you, me and him have been talking about this for 3.5 weeks.
There you go, Johnny's Pizza.
NIL deal.
You better.
I'm not joking. We talk about it for 3.5 weeks. We'll walk by each other in the hallway at the tutoring room and be like, that pepperoni bacon. But
get you through the week.
No, but like I said, me and him have a great relationship, and I'm excited to see where he's going to go, and he's steadily improving, and and another thing that you talked about that is probably the biggest debate in the locker room out of Louisiana kids is who produces the most athletes. And the 318 speaks for itself.
Who's debating you? Who's on the other side?
It's Mason Smith talking about the 985, and then you got Tyree Adams and all them talking about the 504, and then LaTerrence Welch and all them talking about 337, and I'm just like, and then Emory and Shelton and Caleb Jackson too. I'm just like, golly, bro. We do this. But
what is the bye week like at LSU? Is it a bye from did you look at Alabama this week? Do you talk about Bama this week?
We talk about them, and do a still treat it as it is next week. But the thing that's the biggest thing for us in the bye week is it's a chance for us to get a lot of technical work that we wouldn't have the opportunity to get during game week, because game week we're trying to get ready for all the looks they're throwing at us. We might not have as much time to go into individual and work on certain things with our hands that are going to help us on Saturday. So that's the biggest thing, and we got a lot of great work in, so that was good.
One just on an individual, Dallas Turner. I think everybody's looking at you and him in the matchup there. What was that like last season, and then what do you anticipate this year?
He's a great player, and it'll be a good matchup. That's all I got to say.
Yes, indeed. My man. It is. It's great to see you. Everybody wants to know Zion, Besh's dog. It was a wide debate. I think we put it on the poll who was going to get the dog when Besh transferred. I think you were like a runaway winner on our poll. So put the Put the critics to rest. Let us know what happened to Zion Besh. Is he yours? Is he in
Zion
Dallas?
Campbell.
Is he dead? What is going on?
Zion Besh made the trip to Fort Worth.
Wow.
He is still with his father.
The shock of the world.
Also hit the transfer portal.
Yes, that's right. Have we confirmed that he's still alive?
Yes, he is still alive and breathing.
That's
See, he's been
beautiful.
coached up on this. Stock answer.
That's great. So, what was it like to see Walker? Ole Miss game.
It was great. You know, me and him probably talk every day.
Y'all will be best men in each other's wedding,
Yeah,
I'm sure, right?
I mean, we talk every day, you know. It was nice because, you know, they stormed the field or whatever, and, you know, but the first thing that he didn't celebrate or anything. He ran straight. He lined up right down the line for me so that he could run, and he ran straight out there, and he hugged Jaden because Jaden was there first, and then he ran up to me, and he hugged me, just told me that he loved me, all this stuff like that, and then, you know, we went on our way. We obviously couldn't, you know.
Yeah, you had to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, it was.
Big Willie, I can't tell you how cool it is to watch you play football, bro. I mean, I think when he created you, he said, I'm making a football player, and you are every sense of the definition, and I know y'all have a huge game next week, and love that you were getting ready for it with all your brothers, and can't wait to watch that happen, and appreciate you scratching out a little bit of time for us this morning, man. Have a safe trip back to Monroe. Take it easy on Johnny's Pizza.
Johnny's Pizza needs to get ready now.
They got no idea what's coming their way. How's my man Thomas Campbell doing?
He's good.
The young buck. They got him at tight end, huh?
Yeah, he's playing a little tight end, catching a few passes, blocking a little bit, you know. Got to get the big win tonight against Franklin Parish, but, you know, we always handle Franklin Parish, so they don't they don't need to let anything change.
Good to see you, big fella.
Yes, sir.
We'll
Appreciate
be back. More of the Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B.
Where were you born at, Greg? Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
You know, besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, you know, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that, throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, you know, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Daniel Newman can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. Get started today by calling Daniel Newman at 225-261-8262, 225-261-8262. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, go roof.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Sticking the roofing.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always. We are built by R&B Builders. Shout out to our guy, Will Campbell. Big Willie coming through here on this bye week, giving us a little preview of LSU and Alabama, talking to us about the halfway point, this offense, how good are they, the damage that him and Lance Hurd are about to do on a Johnny's Pizza in Monroe tonight. God rest that Johnny Pizza's soul, man. It sounds like they're coming for blood.
I don't have to work for the rest of the month.
Good Lord. All right, so the New Orleans Saints, it's been a miniature bye here, and it's been dreadful for the Saints since the last time out versus Jacksonville. A lot of people on the wrong page, it seems like. For whatever reason, the New Orleans Police Department put out a body cam video of a traffic stop that Chris Olave is now a part of. It's just not been good. Our friend Brooke Kirchhoffer from New Orleans.football is healthy now. That is good news. And it's good to see her back with us on the Jordy Culotta Show. Brooke, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, guys. How are you?
Doing good. Appreciate you joining us. So the Saints, Brooke, this is just, they're not supposed to be this bad is what I keep saying, right? I mean, when I look at them and on paper, they just look better than they are. Why have we gotten to this point, in your opinion? Do you learn anything on this time away?
Yeah, to me, the issue lies in the red zone. You can't score in the red zone. You can't score 21 points a game. You're not going to win games. And it's so frustrating for this fan base because guys like Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Derek Carr, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed all healthy. Jawan Johnson is back this week. I'd like to see how the Saints maybe utilize the middle of the field now that he's back. That's an area they have struggled. Really, this last game to me, because we were obviously very, very hard on offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael at the beginning of the season, and as we should be, because the game plan just wasn't working, what they were putting out there. Then you go to this Jacksonville game, and it really was not necessarily the game plan, but Derek Carr. He just did not have a good game. You mentioned some of the miscommunication issues. Derek Carr said he spent about 20 minutes on a FaceTime call with Chris Olave. Interesting to me that it was FaceTime and not just a phone call, to try to get those two back on the same page. Look, the audio is out there of Derek Carr yelling at Chris Olave and almost looking like he was trying to make an example out of Chris on that 3rd and long throw to Chris Olave that was never meant to get to him. He was just trying to throw it in his direction to show that Chris wasn't all out running the route, which as a wide receiver in the NFL, you need to do. But nobody likes to see that, especially when you have a brand new quarterback who hasn't necessarily established himself, right? Like, this isn't a Tom Brady, a Drew Brees, Peyton Manning quarterback that can get after a young wide receiver because of their Hall of Fame stature. This is a Derek Carr mid-level quarterback who is still trying to find his footing. And the last thing you need to see is him yelling at a young, booming wide receiver in Chris Olave, who is expected to have a really good NFL career. So the focus this week for this extended, I guess, mini bye week, you could say, was getting on the same page, making sure there was no miscommunication. Derek Carr said he aired it out with a lot of the guys on offense. The leaders spoke on the phone. Not just that, he called the coaches and was like, look, what do you need from me? And also, what do I need from you? What are some of the things that we need to correct before we get into the back half of the season? You guys have 10 games left. Look, I mean, this can still get turned around. The issues on the offensive line as far as injuries still kind of, if I'm looking at it, I don't love it right now based on what I'm seeing, but I think the Saints can get by. It's just a matter of this offense coming together and figuring it out.
Dennis Allen throughout this time. Brooke, what have you made of his leadership as the Saints struggle?
Well, it seems like the locker room is not lost, is based on what we were around this week. We're going to be back in the locker room again later this afternoon. The guys were upbeat, specifically guys on defense. Look, the defense is top 5 defense in the NFL right now. They are playing very, very well. Eric McCoy made a point on Monday to say it sucks when one side of the ball is the reason why you're not winning the game. And it seems like that's been probably a conversation that's being had in the locker room, is that they just need the offense to step up. The defense is doing what they need to do in order to win games, and that's Dennis Allen's bread and butter. He's always been the defensive mastermind, defensive play caller. He still is, even though he does not have the title of defensive coordinator anymore. And I think that's where maybe Dennis Allen gets a little bit in trouble, is because he's kind of given the keys to this offense to Pete Carmichael and Derek Carr when they don't necessarily have it figured out yet. And look, we know that in the offseason, Dennis Allen was interviewing a plethora of offensive coordinators, as we know. Maybe Pete Carmichael wasn't the most interested in coming back and continuing on with that offensive coordinator role. And to me, I'd like to see more of Dennis Allen getting involved with trying to fix the offense. You are the head coach. I know that you are the defensive-minded coach, but at the end of the day, this is going to go on you if this team does not get it together. The team has not turned away from Dennis Allen yet, but if this offense can't get going, I don't see how he keeps a locker room when he is the head coach, and at the end of the day, he is the guy making decisions and could be the one making changes. And he said this week he's going with their personnel. He doesn't believe bringing in somebody from the outside at this point in the season is going to help. I disagree. What is Drew Brees up to? What is John Gruden up to? Get these guys on the phone, try and just solve problems. And they're still running the Drew Brees, Sean Payton offense in New Orleans. It's the same plays that they've been running for the last 10 plus years. What harm does it do getting a guy like Drew Brees on the phone, or even just having him as somebody that's at practice and trying to help Derek Carr navigate this new offense? To me, at this point, you have nothing to lose.
Is Gruden still around? Is he still in New Orleans?
No. So John Gruden is actually in some issues with the NFL
Sure.
in the courtroom. So I think that is likely taking up a lot of his time. I know Nick mentioned this week on one of our shows that maybe Jay Gruden could be an option. Look, we know that they kind of bit the bullet and brought in John Gruden for training camp to be an advisor, is kind of what they said, to make sure that Derek Carr, when he came here, him and Pete Carmichael could be on the same page, figure out what Derek likes, figure out what Pete likes. But I just don't understand why they're not bringing in that guy. Why would you not bring a guy who's an offensive mastermind at this point with an offense that desperately needs some leadership, in my opinion? We haven't necessarily – we've heard from leaders, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, stepping up vocally in the locker room. But when's the last time we saw somebody like a Drew Brees or just somebody taking onus of this offense and taking it over? We just haven't seen that yet from Derek Carr. We saw a glimpse of it in that little hurry-up, no-huddle offense at the end of the game, and that was maybe the only glimmer that we have seen this season of, okay, like when their back's up against the wall, Derek Carr has some fight and he can drive them down the field. But unfortunately, Foster Moreau dropped what would have been the game tying, or if they would have went for 2 to win it, touchdown pass to Foster Moreau, which frustrating situation to be in for him, but it wasn't all on him. I mean, the Saints had an opportunity. You don't throw a pick six, you're in a better situation. So look, we've seen that glimpses of Derek Carr taking over a game, but you can't run no huddle hurry up for 4 quarters. So now it's how do you maybe integrate that into the playbook a little bit? Maybe you go up to the line of scrimmage knowing the next play, going up to the line of scrimmage with 2 plays. They talked about doing that this week. There's ways to integrate no huddle hurry up throughout the flow of the game, but it's just this offense just needs to click and get on the right track immediately.
Well, when you talk about player leadership, it feels like it's there because you see them on the sidelines. They're not exactly infighting. It's more of they're trying to figure out something to do offensively. To me, it feels like that players know more about the offense than the coach, and that's why when you see a no-huddle scenario, the offense looks better because they're all on the same page. Is that something that Pete Carmichael can adjust to, or is this something where the team just kind of starts doing their own thing in the huddle and you just have a built-in play and you have to meet later with each other? I don't know, because whenever Pete Carmichael puts his hands in, it seems like it stinks.
No, I mean, credit to Pete Carmichael. He had a good game plan last week on Thursday night against the Jaguars. And look, some of the issues that they had miscommunication-wise in that Houston game was because of Derek Carr kind of calling his own plays. So the hands are dirty on both sides. It's just how can you come together and make sure that everybody is on the same page? And I think in Houston, it was more of a forced no-huddle hurry up. Like maybe the planning that week was not where it needed to be heading into the Houston game. It obviously was there for Jacksonville. The guys were prepared for those situations. Look, it's just when Derek Carr says that the wide receivers maybe didn't necessarily know how to audible out of a play, I mean, that right there, I mean, you can't be successful if the quarterback's throwing to wide receivers expecting to be in a spot where they're not. To me, that's the biggest issue. It got better against Jacksonville. You're now going up into the Indianapolis Colts team. That's the only team in the NFL that has scored at least 20 points every single game. And when you look at the Saints scoring average, it's not good. 19 points per game. It's more a matter of each week. Can the defense hold the other team off enough so that the offense can maybe score 19 points to win a game? I don't think that's going to win you games the rest of the way out. Derek Carr has to get this team in the red zone. It's interesting. A lot of people keep tweeting and asking us about Jimmy Graham. We did talk to Dennis Allen about why Jimmy Graham has not been used in the red zone at this point into the season. And he kind of said it just hasn't been a part of the game plan. It's something they just haven't wanted to implement. So I don't know what's going on there as far as maybe Carr-Graham connection isn't what they expected with the Breeze-Graham connection. Maybe that's just not translating. But you wonder with Juwan Johnson coming back if the red zone numbers get a little bit better. But seeing Michael Thomas do Michael Thomas things last week was a really good sign. That catch was such a tight window, him getting his feet down. You just don't want to have your wide receivers have to continue to make those plays. Like, why can't a touchdown or a scoring drive just be easy for the New Orleans Saints? That's what I want to see, is just a smooth and efficient drive where you're not having to ask your wide receivers to kind of break their neck to make a play.
Defensively, Brooke, I know that we've talked a little bit about him in the past, but Carl Granderson has just continued to have a rocket ship of a season to star power. What have you seen from Granderson that has made him so efficient here?
You know, it's interesting. We were talking in training camp about who was going to be the guy starting opposite Cam Jordan, and now it's Carl Granderson is the guy that we've been talking about on the defensive line as the star, and then Cam Jordan, which is kind of surprising when you look back at what that storyline was. But Carl Granderson, the guy moves like a linebacker, but he weighs like 280 plus. It's unbelievable just how quick that guy is at his size. I don't know what happened mentally for him after he signed that extension, signed that deal, but he has just been lights out for a team that really needed a big body opposite of Cam Jordan to be the guy. They expected Peyton Turner to come in and be that. Same deal with Marcus Davenport. It just did not work out. And then here you have a guy who's kind of been waiting his turn, back up. Him and Tano Passanio just were those two backup defensive ends that were just buying their time waiting to get a shot. And Carl Granderson took his shot and ran with it. He's a guy that's playing with a ton of confidence, not super vocal. We've done some interviews with him in the locker room about why he's had so much success. He's not really a guy that's willing to toot his own horn, but he has talked about his size and getting his speed up this offseason, which is a reason why he's been able to have so much success. But I can't imagine a defense without Carl Granderson. I mean, that to me is the craziest thing is going into this season. We were still looking at free agency of, hey, is there a guy that they can bring in? And look, I know the deadline is October 31st, the trading deadline. I wouldn't be surprised if they still go out and look for a guy who can come off the edge. I mean, that's still, you still always want to have a big body there with Cam Jordan going into, what is it, year 17, year 18 this year. You want to be able to have some depth there. And I think that could be a potential option for the Saints.
Yeah, this is my last one for you, Brooke. I was going to ask you on the way out. The deadline was coming up on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Did you see any moves that the Saints could potentially make to make a second half push?
So I've had my eyes on Denver because they haven't said it's a sale of any guys on their team, but they have said they're willing to look at options. And when you have a star cornerback in Patrick Surtain, who is potentially on the trading block, obviously you don't give away Marshawn Lattimore, but could you imagine a world where Marshawn Lattimore and Patrick Surtain, Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, all these guys are on the field together, Pete Warner, Jamari Davis? That's a dangerous defense, and that's a defense that if you're trying to win now, if this offense can get it together, that's a defense that can put this team in favorable position, potentially in the postseason. And we were talking about it on the show this week. Look, you're probably going to have to give away at least a first-round pick. I would add Paulson Adebo to that trade, and then maybe like some late-round picks if it's possible. Look, Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton are still good friends from what I hear. Those two need to get on a golf course, figure out how to get Patrick Surtain to New Orleans and bring him down. But I've also been looking, too, at some wide receivers that are on the market. I don't think the Saints are going to make any splash moves just because they have so many issues in-house that they need to get corrected. And if the only changes that I would expect to see made is changes on the offensive coaching staff. Yeah. I think that will be the first change we see made because at this point, Dennis Allen has said, I've had it. Patience has run out. The offensive struggles have I think he said something along the lines of they need to be done. And so now if you struggle in Indy, you question, look, as they get prepared for the Bears or as their bye is coming up in a couple of weeks, is that then when his patience has run out and he does make a change?
Brooke Kirchhofer from our friends over at NewOrleans.football. You can follow her on social media at Brooke Chesney, and she is here with us every week. Good to see you back healthy again. We'll look forward to our report on the Saints-Colts game next Tuesday. Brooke, have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Always. There she is checking in. Remember that conversation brought to you by Hughes Mechanical, hughesmechanical.net online. You can find them commercial AC repair, residential AC repair, and installation. You can also trust them with that Daikin warranty over at Hughes Mechanical. get in touch with Travis Hughes and the crew at hughesmechanical.net. All right, we've also confirmed Russell Shepard is going to join us here, former Tiger standout and 8-year pro in the NFL with Tampa Bay, Carolina, and the Giants. We will talk to Russell Shepard coming up here. What was Bama week like for him? I still remember that inside give they gave to Shepard early in that 2012 game where he busted it right up the trap for a big gain. That's when they were using Shepard the right way. They'd put him at running back. They'd put him at slot. They'd put him at wide receiver. And then I guess Les Miles just went Les Miles. We will talk to Shepard coming up here at 9 a.m. We've also got Ben Mintz for you. Mintz has been on a zinger lately. My man, another 3-0 college football weekend for you last Saturday. Who does he like this weekend with the slate? Not as attractive as it has been over the past couple of weeks, but still some diamonds out there that we will kick up. Come back with us next here. Ben Mintz, Jordy Culotta Show, as always, live here from Click Here Digital.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah. Sticking the roof in.
As primary care sports physicians, the things we think about the most with our athletes from a medical standpoint usually involves the head, the climate, and the heart. We have to be very careful about participating in sports when it is safe, but also having the proper equipment to take care of them if we are worried about the athletes. So here in Louisiana, obviously heat can be a big problem. Things that I think about as a primary care sports medicine physician is that it's safe enough for our athletes to participate. And there are certain regulations that we follow here at Ochsner, but throughout the entire state, to make sure it is safe for our athletes to participate. When we think about concussion, we have to really recognize those symptoms from the forefront, and that becomes a cultural issue as well. As for the heart, screening exams are by far the most important thing that we can think about. We go through a series of questions, but also listen to the athlete's heart and ask about family history and other symptoms they may have had in the past. By doing so, we can identify and potentially screen out athletes to make sure that they are safe to participate in the sports that they love to do.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it.
Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gore.
Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
You know, besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Friday edition, Jordy Culotta Show, closing out the week here. If you don't mind, hit us on a like, share, comment. Give us a subscription if you have not already done so. If you're watching for the first time, you have not subscribed, give us a subscription. You can hit that bell button. Know when we go live. We appreciate that. All of our content brought to you by R&B Builders, Rhett Bourgeois and the crew at rmb-builders.com. And daily we come to you live from our Click Here Digital Studios, which is located on the campus of Click Here Digital, marketing monster down here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, helping automotive, legal, medical, can help you. If you want to move your bottom line, if you want to change your bottom line, get in touch with us over here at Click Here Digital. You can email me directly, jordy@clickheredigital.com. Log online to clickheredigital.com. Google ads, social media ads, we can handle your content. We've got a team of 120 under the roof. We've got 150 total around the country working marketing campaigns, digital marketing campaigns, specializing in everything under that umbrella. Give us a call or email me directly, jordy@clickheredigital.com. All right, we're going to link up with Ben Mintz here in just a second, and we're going to get his picks for the weekend. Got to be paying attention to Mintz right now as he's been scorching hot. Mintz handing out winners here going into the weekends. I believe he had another 3-0 college football weekend last weekend. We do have Benny in the bets. are here as he is every Friday. Benny, you are hot, my friend. Good morning. How are you? Benjamin?
In Sykeston, Missouri right now. There's a random one. On my way up to Chicago to move north. I left New Orleans yesterday morning, stopped in Oxford, Mississippi, got to see Chris Beard and did some stuff and drove as far as I could north, got tired about midnight in Sykeston. I got about 5.5 hours left to Chicago. 5-1 last week, 3-0 in college. And, man, I've been smoking hot lately. I mean, it's been great.
Wow, Benny, that is that's 55 north, right?
Yeah, it's about to. So it switches to 57 north in Sykeston to go to Chicago. So that's what I'm about to go get some coffee and get my ass back on the road. And I'm playing a poker tournament in Chicago area this weekend, and excited about the new life, Jordy. This new office we've got is supposedly unbelievable. And, if I can get through New York in a COVID pandemic when I know anybody, the Chicago move kind of feels like a piece of cake a little bit to me.
Chicago, I did a summer in Chicago. I know you're moving up there for wintertime. It's about to be very cold, but it's a great spot, man. I mean, it's a cool town. All right, Benny, so you've been handing out money to our listeners, just giving them cash. So they are back at the window, and they're waiting to hear what you have to say here going into this Saturday and Sunday slate, especially the college football slate, which you have been just killing people. Where are we at this weekend?
All right, let's get back at it. I have been on one. I mean, this is kind of reminiscent of 2017 when this all started, when I got real hot at the beginning. That's kind of how this feels. But this week feels like some home underdog traps in both college and NFL. The first college game I've got is, man, LSU knows this. Everybody knows this. You kind of lose to Alabama twice, the second week after Bama. When you look at what happened to Tennessee, I thought in that second half, and now they're laying 3.5 on the road against Kentucky, a Kentucky team that hates Tennessee. And I also just don't trust Joe Milton on the road. I mean, I'm taking Kentucky plus 3.5 as a home underdog going against the Vols again. After that second half where they just got dismantled. I'm really curious to see what kind of effort we see after they got outscored 27-0 in that one. Second pick is, I don't know if y'all are noticing, nobody's really noticing that Oklahoma State's kind of found something here lately. They kind of juggled 3 quarterbacks. They finally found the right guy, I think. They beat Kansas State. They beat Kansas. They won at West Virginia. And now they're laying 7.5 at home against kind of a bad Cincinnati team. I think Oklahoma State might win this game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. So I'm banging the Oklahoma State Cowboys by 7.5. My third pick is tough because there's 2 games I was looking at. I'll just tell you both, and we'll go with one. It's 2 home dogs. I think I'm going to go with NC State plus 10 at home against Clemson because I don't think Clemson could lay 10 against anybody right now with how bad they are on offense. Yeah. And I also think NC State made a good quarterback change, benching Brendan Armstrong, who couldn't throw. The other game I was looking at was Utah plus 6.5 against Oregon. Utah, only 1 loss, fighting real hard. You saw they won at USC. I was looking at them as a home underdog, but so I guess that's 4. But I'll go with NC State as my third. We'll get to NFL, and NFL was similar, Jordy. I mean, I really pretty much had an 8-pack this week because there's 4 each in college and NFL. I couldn't really get away from the first NFL game. I always have said this on here for years. Whenever a team loses a road favorite and they're home underdog the next week, I take them, especially in a division game. I'm taking the Washington Commanders plus 7 at home against Philly. A couple weeks ago, they lost by 7 at the very end of the game in Philly. Washington had a horrible effort in New York last week. We were all over that Eagles Sunday night. I mean, that was my favorite NFL game. But I like the Commanders getting 7 in this one. And then I'll run through the other ones. I can't believe it's so hard to bet Green Bay with how bad they stink right now, but they lost as a road favorite in Denver, and now they're plus 1.5 at home against Minnesota, who looked pretty good on Monday night, but I'm going to take Green Bay plus 1.5 as a system play. And then the other 2 games I liked are just total ass kickings waiting to happen. I like Miami by 9.5 at home over New England. I think the game sets up great. Even during the Tom Brady great years, New England's never played well in South Florida. And New England's off that win against Buffalo last week, my only loser. And Miami's in a good bounce-back spot after that Sunday night in Philly. And the only thing to hold up on this game was Tyreek Hill might not play, but now he's playing. So if he's playing, I think New England's going to get destroyed in Miami. And then I also think there's going to be a path of destruction game Sunday night. I know the Chargers hadn't played that well lately, but I love them -9 at home against the Bears team. The Bears won last week, so I think maybe that'll throw people off this. But the Bears quarterback they started last week in place of Justin Fields averaged 2.1 yards per pass through the air. I mean, that's pretty wild that he literally can't throw past the line of scrimmage. So I think the Chargers roll. So I guess we're kind of doing an 8. We're going to go special 8-pack this week, I guess. But I'll repeat it. Oklahoma State -7.5, NC State +10, Utah +6.5, Kentucky +3.5 in college, NFL system plays and the Washington Commanders +7, and Green Bay +1.5, and ass-kicking plays on Miami by 9.5 and the LA Chargers by 9. Let's roll, boys.
Hell yeah, Miami counting on Liv to do its job. Club Liv usually bites up the opponents, especially the road teams. Saturday nights is when that game usually starts. Benny Mintz.
Wait, what? Now, what's Live? I don't get that reference.
That is the club in Miami on South Beach, where all the opponents, all the road teams come in. That's why the NBA struggle.
Get the Miami flu.
The other thing, I said this on here before, Miami has the thing where the opposing team is in the sun on the sidelines and Miami's in the shade. It's like 20 degrees cooler.
That's right.
What a wild – I mean, that's kind of brilliant.
It is.
You know?
It really is.
does the same thing.
Benjamin, have a good, safe trip up to Chicago. It's a great town. And stay safe on the road. We'll see you this weekend, buddy.
Heck yeah, man. Thank y'all for having me as always.
All right, there he is.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Benny and the Bets at Barstool Mincy, Barstool Sports, Ben Mintz. Moving to Chicago this weekend from New Orleans, is making his trek up there into Chi-Town. Appreciate him. Remember, Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, our friends over at Barker Brothers. You can get in touch with Jude Barker and the crew. All you got to do is give them a call. The direct number goes straight to Jude Barker's pocket, right to the phone to the owner. 225-776-2431. That's the phone number. Mention the show. Save yourself 15%. Looking forward to our closeout conversation of the week here of the bye. Russell Shepard, one of the all-time greats, top recruit, came in. LSU was on that team of 2011. Was kind of a utility player. Used him all over the place. Used him incorrectly. One of the casualties of Les Miles. Went on to have a stellar, standout NFL career with a couple of franchises, including Tampa Bay, Carolina, and the New York Giants. And we will talk to him all about that. Life after football, very successful now in a couple of business ventures, including trucking and some other things that he has going on. So we'll talk to Shep coming up here in a couple of minutes. One of my all-time favorites will be by here as we close out the week. Been a good week here for the bye as LSU and Bama get set to square off next week. Appreciate Will Campbell, Big Willie, for stopping by here on this Friday and giving us a little preview of that game. You can sense the focus that number 7 has going in to next week's matchup. So we appreciate him for stopping by here and giving us a little insight on that.
Sounded very confident.
He did. Wouldn't you be though if you were him? I mean, like what?
We're just talking about the team.
What
in general.
has challenged? No, I agree. But what has challenged him in football?
No, and that's why he's probably so happy. He's like, my life is going exactly the way if I could have dreamt it up, this is how I would want it to go, whether it be playing for LSU, now being number 7. Like, that picture story is hilarious.
It is great.
Doing the Heisman pose in number 7 jersey, he actually gets to LSU and becomes the first offensive lineman to wear 7. Like, he's breaking down barriers, and he might be the best in the sport on the collegiate level at left tackle. Life is good, and he's getting his Johnny's Pizza.
I still love the stories of Campbell when he was coming to LSU, like his last semester at Neville. LSU was like starting to sign some junior college offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And he starts blowing Brad Davis and Frank Wilson and like all these guys up in the recruiting department. He's like, "What's the deal?" And they're like, "Huh?" And they're like, "Why are y'all signing other people at left tackle?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Am I not going to play left tackle? Y'all been promising me I'm going to play left tackle." And they were like, "Will, We've got to get some depth, man. Chill out. You're the guy.
Well, I just want to make sure I'm starting.
Well, I mean, y'all been telling me now for 3 years, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I mean, just
don't take my dream
guy's
away.
A football junkie, man.
What's all this action going on at left tackle?
Yeah, right. I love the Lance Hurd stories too.
Yeah,
I mean that's good stuff between Campbell. So I appreciate him for coming by and sharing a couple of stories. That was good to get away from all the serious of the X and O talk.
No, break it all down. Where's the corners gonna be?
Where's the drop linebacker?
What's Harold Perkins gonna do?
Speaking of the devil, there's Shepard right there. Let me take this phone call. We'll get him set up, and we'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show, closing it out here on this Friday. Shep.
Our student athletes, one of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on. Did you do it? Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every single time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof. Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Perfect.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Well, the Oshner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Oshner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Oshner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Oshner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
All right, closing it out here on this bye week with a special interview, man, as we've been looking forward to it. We've been talking about it for a couple of days here in the lead up to it and finally gotten to it, and now catching up with an all-timer, really, an all-time great, one of the all-timers coming out in recruiting and then getting to LSU during a time where LSU had one of the great teams that it's ever had in its program's existence, and then to go on to a stellar NFL career, and now in the business world, got a young family, entrepreneurship. It is a success story all around. Looking forward to catching up with our guy, Russell Shepard, who is joining us here on this Friday morning. Looking fresh as always, my friend. Good to see you. Good morning. How are you?
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. You gave me a very humbling intro, man. I don't know if I think of myself like that, man.
Well, I will tell you this, Shep. A lot of the LSU fans do. I think your time at LSU will one that will always be remembered as a guy that put himself and gave himself to the program, and whether the program gave that back to him is something that I think is debated throughout the fan base. But what you gave LSU fans is something that will live on forever. So I believe I speak for everyone when I say thank you, and it's great to see you. How has life been, first and foremost? Let's just catch up with, it seems like from the NFL into the family and business world, things have been a smooth transition.
Yeah, man. First off, I really appreciate you having me on. Like, as you said, the biggest thing I think that I get from a lot of people is just, people, they love how I embrace the LSU culture, just how I'm all in. And, I really appreciate, again, just having me here today. But everything's been good, man. After I left LSU, I went on and had a little journey in the NFL. I was active 7 years. Made the team every year, had the humbling, just had the opportunity to play with some really great players throughout my journey, my time, be able to play in the state of Louisiana, playing the Saints a lot of time, and kind of seeing the support still in the NFL. But I retired in 2020, COVID year. Yeah. And, now I'm the young father of soon to be 4 children. Wow. Been married to my high school sweetheart, LSU grad. Going on 15 years, and now I'm dealing with human waste. I'm the poop man, as they say now. So man, everything's been good, man. I appreciate it.
That is great, man. Take me back to the NFL days, Shep. I think a lot of people turned on their television a lot of Sundays deep into your career and were like, wow, look at Russell Shepard still doing it, man. Still out there. Right. What was your NFL experience like for you because it felt like every year for the first 4 or 5, you were fighting and scratching to make sure they knew you belonged.
Yeah. It was a very interesting transition. So, me coming into the LSU with, this athlete, this offensive weapon, this guy that can contribute to offense. And then obviously as I transitioned, to the NFL, I became a tackling receiver. I became a special team guy. I became a guy that was a leader within the locker room. Obviously everybody in the NFL has to have a niche, a car, have to do something to take a roster spot. And, just going through training camp, hearing from people like Thomas McGahee, you know, who was my special team coordinator while I was at LSU and two-time coordinator through my NFL journey. You know, everybody's told me the way to make the team is, you know, to be a special teams guy. So when I got the opportunity with Philly coming out of LSU in 2013, you know, I immediately took a liking and I took a focus to special teams. So, you know, I was able, man, to really build a career, you know, off of just being a solid special team player, a guy that can contribute to the offense, be a consistent reserve, a starter if needed. And really just my pride and joy, the thing I really take pride in, just being a lead by example and a leader within the locker room.
Yeah.
You know, my last probably 2 or 3 years, and probably, you know, post, you know, even once I retired, I was going to make the team every year just off being a guy that was a strong leader. I hold my teammates accountable, and I just led by example. So that was kind of my thing, man. I was never the ultra Mike Evans talented guy or the Odell Beckham or consistent guy that a Jarvis Landry was when it comes to receiver position. I just was a guy that was gonna block my ass off. You know, I'm an LSU Tiger. I was gonna lead by example, and you know, man, I had the skill set to do what was needed when my name was called.
A great testament to your athleticism and potential in sticking and making the roster, but I think it shows more the dude you are by the way that you serve. I compare it to Garrett Temple. Really, if you look at the NBA, Temple is a guy that I think he can name how long he wants to play now, right? I think that every team could use someone like that in the locker room that could mentor the young guys and really show you in practice what the effort and energy looks like. And, you know, you've got the game film of the prime that you can always go back to and show you that he's done it. So, no, man, it was so fun to watch you play. You were in New York during kind of like the height of OBJ, right? Like, I mean, like it was peaking at that point. How famous was he? I mean, he felt like at one point he was the most famous person on the planet.
Yeah. You know, Odell was an interesting thing. So, you know, I was coming off, I spent a year with Carolina after being with Tampa Bay for 4 years. And, you know, at that point, that was, you know, my 6th year in the NFL. And, you know, that's when my leadership and just the guy I was in the locker room became my really, you know, my greatest attribute to any NFL organization. So my agent got a call, man, and this is like you said, the height of Odell. He was this the passionate guy on the sideline, passionate guy on the field. So I get a call from the Giants, and they say, hey, you know, we're interested in bringing in Russell. You know, we heard that, you know, he's not scared to tell Odell to be quiet. I was like, you know, and I really didn't get it. Obviously, you know, he's a brother to me.
Absolutely.
You know, and obviously when I left LSU, he was coming into his prime, and you know, especially when I left, him and Jarvis had a historic year with Zach Mittenberg. So I never, you know, I left him with that image and who he was, and you know, I went to New York and just seeing just the attention he demanded, you know, just because who he was. I mean, we go into a restaurant, people was going to swarm him. We go into a hotel, people will swarm him. So, you know, he's a ultra productive, you know, had an amazing, and still is playing at a high level. But I don't think the NFL has seen anybody like him that just, you know, was such a star within, you know, our era, our time. I haven't seen anything like it, man. It was a very amazing experience, but you know, it's nothing like Odell in New York.
I'd imagine that it was a perfect marriage for that short time when it was burning so bright. Shep, what was this week like as an LSU football player? What was the bye week like in the lead up for the Bama game?
You know what? It was everything. It especially when you coming into that bye week, you know, coming off a great win, playing good football. It was big for us because we know in the SEC it's a physical schedule. So you're going to have throughout the journey, you're going to have guys go down, you're going to have injuries, guys beat up, just tired in general. So being able to have that extra week to mentally just prepare, get your body right, to get guys back who, you know, you've had to win without over the last, week or two or the whole season. It was just everything leading to, what we consider, the biggest game on the schedule for the most part.
I thought the 2012 edition of Russell Shepard in this game was the exact way to use you in looking back on your career. You could do everything good, but the way they used you that night I thought was great. They gave you an inside trap very early on that had the defense thinking about you. They ran you on jet sweep. They threw you an out route. They used you to your skill set. They did everything but put you at the Wildcat, which I thought was an option that is a debate for a whole podcast probably. But
Right.
when you look back on the experience, Russ, am I right there? Was that night kind of the way that you probably should have been used in looking back on you?
Yeah. I think we were in an interesting time, Jordy, with my time at LSU, because it was kind of the intro to the spread offense, utilizing multiple utility guys. It was the bubble. The screens became extensions of the run play, and it was just a whole new game that happened. So you're right. I think that was the best way to utilize me. Really throughout my LSU career. We've seen hints of it with the Percy Harvin era, and we've seen the Tavon Austins, but now, they're doing it with multiple receivers. You're seeing multiple receivers with these big play, these big number games, and they're just utilizing guys a lot more, as we evolve the game. So I think LSU was kind of that we wanted the slow start to ultimately think that's what continued to help Alabama elevate and produce guys and produce high numbers, is that Coach Saban evolved from a 2-back or 1-back guy to, around the time I was in school, he started to go to the 4-wide, 5-wide concept, and he started to, have these really consistent playmakers that put up great numbers. So I definitely think that was probably the best thing for me, Ruben Randall, the Odell Beckhams, the Jarvis Landrys, the Kadrian Boones. I mean, the list goes on the utility guys that unfortunately weren't able to contribute to the offense a lot because of our style of play.
Yeah, that was a room at that time, man. That you had the headliners, but you had James Wright was in that room at that time. He went on to a really nice NFL career. What's your relationship like with football now, Russ? How much do you watch it Saturdays and Sundays? Are you able to watch it? I mean, with 4 kids, I don't know how you have time for anything, but what is your relationship like
man,
with football?
I love it, man. Obviously, I just got done playing, so I still got a lot of friends and peers and guys that I communicate on a daily that still play. So I watch the game. I'm in tune with the game. To be honest with you, I'm really just getting back to my LSU, grounds, ways. I had my first tailgate experience this year.
Wow.
I've had my first game outside of being a player or a recruit this year. So, that's the thing, man. I had almost a decade, journey within the NFL. And, the NFL has been amazing, just opportunity for me and my family. But it's just been good for me to get back to the LSU, the purple and gold, being able to, see some old faces, some old friends. I've been to every home game this year with the exception of the Army game. But, it's just an amazing opportunity to get back in the state of Louisiana, just feel that LSU culture, that football culture that I always just kind of surprised me and why I fell in love with just the state and just the city of Baton Rouge, man. There's some strong football in that region.
You've had a great career, man. You've played on some really good teams. You've seen some really good players. How good was the defensive backfield on the LSU 2011 team?
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. They did it at a high level. I think a few of those guys could have been all SEC receivers or a running back. Patrick Peterson, even he wasn't even there that year. And just to see that room play at that level, and just with so much I always say, if I can go back and do it again, I would have been in that room. I would have tried that position.
Wow.
They tried to get me to that position, and I just didn't have any defense experience, and I didn't know. I had a few coaches that recruited me as a DB. Coach Saban did, Urban Meyer did, Mac Brown, but I didn't understand it. But when I seen those guys play at that level in 2011, and then I just became a fan of the position. And it's one of my biggest regrets, not playing that position throughout my LSU or NFL journey, because I had a few teams that gave me opportunity early on to make a switch because I was a natural tackler, an aggressive guy. But, those guys, Tyrann Mathieu is my favorite player of all time, one of my better friends. Ron Brooks is one of the best Tigers, the best athletes I've seen in college football. Morris Claiborne, one of the best seasons I've ever seen, best pure cover corners. Even the Thurl Simons and the Jalen Mills. The list goes on of just those guys and just their level of play.
Oh, Russell Shepard in that room. Wow. That is something to think about.
My first 3 years, man, I had more tackles than I had catches in the NFL. This was the thing. When I got to the NFL, I still was a raw receiver.
Sure.
I made the team every year because I was one of the better special team players in the NFL. I'll run down on kickoff. I hit a 250 backer. I slip a defensive end, and I use my athletic skill set on teams. I just lacked the experience. I just lacked the opportunity, to play, at a high level at the skill position. But I've always been an athletic guy, even in the NFL. So I applied my skill set, my athletic ability to teams, and I had great success. So it really wasn't until, my fourth year when Vincent Jackson tore his ACL and Louis Murphy went down with a torn ACL. The Bucks had to play me, and Jordy, I caught 30 balls, I think, that year, and I probably had every ball was a high end, a high possession. This is a really, as they would say, quality catch. And going into all the, my fourth year, which is my contract year, I had 15 offers on the table from multiple NFL teams because they finally seen my athletic ability, kind of match the play that was needed at the professional level. So, I got a lot of respect for teams or guys that play, out of position because they got to do whatever they can to make a team.
Shep, it's so cool to hear that you had that type of career, man. Really and truly, that you were respected in the game like that, because I think that you were this great, just what could have been at LSU because of just how good you were. But then I think it was that. People just looked at you and were like, I don't know, man. He can play so many positions. And then the fact that the NFL finally figured it out and you had a career like you did, I think is sweet justice for you. I could do this all day, man. I know you've probably got to get back to work, and I appreciate your time very much. We got to do this again. Next time you're in Baton Rouge, look us up for sure, man.
No, 100%, man. We're coming to Baton Rouge. We're coming to the state of Louisiana. We're going to do business out there. My company, Shep Boys, man, it's been a great success. We have the fastest growing waste startup in the state of Texas. And, we're excited to get to southern Louisiana and be able to, service some of the industrial and the disaster response and commercial build outs that goes on out there. So, man, we got to do this again. And I just appreciate the opportunity. And as we always say, go Tigers.
I am on the website right now, shepboyswaste.com, and you can learn everything about what they have going on. A beautiful website, very easy to navigate. And you can see my man is a young entrepreneur taking it to the next level. Congratulations, Shep. See you soon, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, my guy.
All right, man.
To see all those portal potties at the LSU game and be like, your eyes had to light up.
Look here, you think I'm coming out there for a reason now. Hey, look, the NFL is good, but look, people are shitting and pissing every day.
Hey, it never gonna stop. It never gonna stop, Shep.
Don't stop, bro.
We'll see you soon, man. We'll see you soon. There he is.
Thank you, fellas.
All right, great week. Closing out the bye week here. Appreciate you being here. Hit that like button, share button, subscribe if you haven't already done so. We'll talk to you on Monday morning. Compliments of our friends over at R&B.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9.
Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next? Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show.